Okay, back-to-back uploads. Let's get it. We got week 4 here, and we're gonna start off with Joe and E. We're just gonna hop right into it. You know what it is. All right, we see another Greninja lead. Electrode, yep, get the heck out of there. Energy Ball, Spadef drop, no big deal. Skeledirge eats that all day, and yeah, I think this is just where it went downhill at this point. Yeah, it makes sense. You're switching into like a torch song or whatever. Don't necessarily have anything that wants to get burnt. You know, Enamorus doesn't pressure Skeledirge too much. And you're probably a little scared of like a Shadow Ball if you go hard Gengar. I mean, that's kind of the nature of Joe's team, is you have to be aggressive. And whether that's risking the burn on Quaquaval or risking a Shadow Ball on Gengar, I know in hindsight it's pretty easy to be like, oh, why didn't you just go Gengar? I think that's probably the safer play, because at the end of the day, he doesn't really have anything that wants to eat a Shadow Ball, especially a Skeledirge with a -1 defense. So, yeah. Quaquaval looked really, really solid on paper. But yeah, it's just not going to be able to do it. Yeah, sack, go treads. Yeah, it's burnt. I don't necessarily disagree with the sack there. Super unfortunate turn 1. Or turn 2. Pretty nice ice spinner damage with that plus attack, and then puts in range of Earthquake. Really sick. Okay. I think you just got to go Roaring Moon here, or you have to find something else to sack. Because I think Iron Treads is still looking really solid with Ice Spinner and Earthquake, basically OHKOing or 2-hit KOing the entire team. Yeah, I think Treads is more valuable at this point than like a Roaring Moon, in my opinion. Yep, free Volt Switch. Good play going for that. Not worried about the Great Tusk. And then the early Roaring Moon here. That's another one I don't super agree with. I think you go into Enamorus or Gengar, and then you just hard switch back out to Electrode to get another Volt Switch off. Or maybe an Energy Ball at that point. I think you really wanted that booster energy for the late game, and Toxapex is almost always going to be carrying Haze. So in conjunction with that Toxic, Roaring Moon is pretty much just kaput. Yeah. Haze doesn't get rid of Photosynthesis, which is pretty cool though. But yeah, instead of going for that second Dragon Dance, if you just went for the Zen Headbutt on the first turn, then you're looking good. Yep, there's the Baneful Bunker. Good DD. But you're dead to the next turn anyway. Unfortunately miss the Zen Headbutt. That's so unfortunate. Yeah, Toxapex is just going to be able to eat everything from this point. Or he just sacks it. That's fine, because you can just go Greninja and Revenge Kill. Greninja the Enamorus Slayer. Been picking it all up. Damn. Some massive damage. At this point, I have to imagine Joe's kind of thrown in the towel with the Icy Wind. I don't think the game's totally over, but if this is choice-locked Electrode, which it almost certainly is, then it's pretty much over anyway. Hence why he had to lock into Energy Ball, because of the ground type. But yeah, he made a pretty quick work of that. It was pretty much over once the Quaquaval got burnt. I think that like was very tilting on Joe's end. But I think if he was to save the Iron Treads, and maybe instead of going into Roaring Moon on the Toxapex, you go into something else and then just double back to Electrode, might be in a little bit better of a position and maybe have the end game open for a Roaring Moon sweep. Yeah, I think that's my analysis of it. But well played to E. Great job, dude. Kicking butt this season. All right, this is the Burb game. So I made a really bulky Inteleon, which is basically just a Grimmsnarl this match. It's a dual screener. So I go for the Snipe Shot here to gauge damage, and I notice because of that damage that's Assault Vest Thundurus. Really don't care about Inteleon at all. I mean, it's good offensively, but at the end of the day, I just wanted it for screens. And because I got that chip on Thundurus, I know I'm good just to sack this here, go Oricorio. I don't have the Terra yet. With light screen up, I'm totally not worried about anything, really. So I can just keep Quiver Dancing. Make It Rain did 7%. Just bouncing off of me. Finally get Thunderous in here. There were like two kind of ideas. Was like Oricorio comes in on Thunderous, and then I Terra and Quiver Dance. Or if I have it behind screens, and then I know he's like locked into something, which is likely with Flapple going for the Grav Apple. Oh yeah, he was faster than my Inteleon, so I knew he was Scarfed. So I knew I could just not Terra and Quiver Dance for free then. And yeah, Oricorio doesn't have to leave the field for the rest of the game. Thankfully, I'm dodging some poisons here, but I am Roost, Quiver Dance, Revelation Dance, and Hurricane. So even if he poisoned me, I could just like Roost it off and not be worried about it. So, and since I'm Ground Terra as well, Cleaver doesn't scare me with Rock and Bug. Revelation Dance resisted Oko's Flapple. I didn't have to risk the Hurricane missing because I'm at +5. And since I have +5 Spadef, I am not worried about Typhlosion. Yeah, Revelation Dance taking your Terra type is actually super sick, and it makes Oricorio actually usable, which is really nice. I didn't miss the 2 Hurricanes I went for, which was pretty lucky, but at the end of the day, I don't think I was super worried about that. Oricorio, just on paper, like had such a crazy matchup with Ground and Flying that because I was Terra Ground, I wasn't worried about Thunderous, so even if I was missing Hurricanes, and I didn't even get that chip originally, and I had to like 2-hit KO it, I really wasn't worried, because I know it doesn't have recovery. But yeah, that was the Oricorio Burb game. Glad I got to do that at once this season, so yeah, GG. On Graham's end, I was worried about a Veluza. I think a Veluza could have been a little bit problematic into my team that I brought. You know, crit, Aqua Cutter, Life Orb Sharpness, like, you know, that Oko's basically everything in the game, of course, so definitely worried about that, and if I wasn't, like, super set up with a Oricorio, I would have had to hit, like, a Hurricane into it, and that would have been a little scary, but thankfully he didn't bring it, so didn't even have to worry about it. Alright, Tom and Cordel. This is a turn 1 for the ages. Static on the U-turn, go into Heatran on the Ancient Power, Omna Boost. I mean, come on. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? It's unreal. It was like, I think the first 7 turns of, like, if there could have been hacks, there was hacks, right? When both Mons attack. So we see the miss on the Magma Storm. That's really unfortunate, because now Zapdos is still at full health. He's hitting his Hurricanes. Heracross comes in. Awesome Terra. Miss Stone Edge. Sweet. Missed the Hurricane. Crit. No, not that. Not yet. I think it's the next one on the Roost he crits. Yeah. Like, what the hell is going on? Yep. Get the speed boost. Still probably slower than the Zapdos. Nope. Faster. It's crazy that, like, while he was grounded, the crit did more than when he wasn't because of the defense boost. But it puts him in range of a Trailblaze. Now Heracross is looking, like, super strong. And then Terra Flying on the Earthquake. Just a crazy play. I saw that in, like, the team pace section, where you guys send me your teams, that he was Terra Flying. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. It worked perfectly. 10 out of 10. And now it's Tommy's turn to get a little bit lucky here. 2 Focus Blast hits. Future Sight keeping it so he can't keep substituting, even with the lefties. Okay, we get a miss, finally. But Dragon Claw's just bouncing off of Slowking. Another sub, banking on a miss, but Tommy doesn't miss. He's got 3 Focus Blasts left to make this happen. And he does. Okay, so Tom's like crawling back into this. He has a really weak Heatran still, which is pretty unfortunate. Grass type, Cinderace, I love it. I think that's really cool combo with Trailblaze. Boomburst there, was he running Hurricane? I'm not totally sure. Probably not. You know, he would have went for the Hurricane had he had it. Chipping Ting Lu down, super fat. Running lefties on it. Takes a good chunk from Surf still, even with the Vessel of Ruin ability. Pretty impressive damage out of Slowking. Gets the regen on the switch into the Earthquake, really good. Tommy's definitely clawing back here. Oh yeah, we EV'd for those. And then bang, crit Draco. I don't think it killed, or the crit mattered because Boomburst did 28% originally and that did 37. And that's a stronger move, plus it has stab, so I don't think the crit mattered. Yeah, Cinderace, +1 speed. Just doing a ton of damage. And now that it's a grass type, you know, it's not even worried about whatever Slowking can do. Surf was probably a misclick, but it could just be Tom throwing in the towel too. You know, kind of at that point in the game. Then we see this is now Life Orb Valiant, which is a free Dragapult to come in. Even a crit doesn't kill with Shadow Sneak, unfortunately. And Psychic Fangs finishes off. I mean, at the end of the day, this game was just a total shit show. You know, I think both guys played really well given the circumstances. That turn one was just absolutely unreal. I can only imagine trying to like claw back out of that. But yeah, well played to Tom. Yeah, it was just unfortunate. All right, Burg and MJC. MJC did text me about this. Let me pull this up. So he built his team on Draft League Showdown. Or no, he built it on regular Showdown, and then when we opened up Draft League Showdown, he pulled up the versus Burg team. And that team that he actually built for this did not have Grafaiai, because what is Grafaiai doing? It's not doing anything. So yeah, unfortunate mishap in the team selection here. But huge Stone Edge off rip, doing a ton of damage to Rotom. I mean, getting the burn off was nice. I think it's super safe though, just to go into Corviknight on turn 1 and not even risk that on Burg's end. So that would have been a little optimization. But let's just look at the team comps here. He has 1 Fighting Resist, no Terra option. And Burg has Body Press Corv, plus obviously Gallade with Sacred Sword. The fast Corviknight U-turn out. That is Specs Analytic, if I have ever seen it. But I think going into Garchomp when you have a weak Rotom, that was like probably the correct play anyway. You know, at the end of the day, Garchomp's not doing a ton because there's a Chien-Pao on the other side, so you know, it's expendable. Yeah, Body Press doing 38. It's going to clean it up after. I think he goes for the Roost here. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty safe. You know, you're slower than it, so it's not like it's going to make the close combat super effective. Keep weakening him down, end up picking him up with Body Press. And now there's no Fighting Resist. And this is something I talked to Burg about, is like you have to identify when there's like a hole in somebody's team that you can exploit. And it doesn't even require Burg to like set up. If he just gets into something that's not actually pressured to die, kind of like a Corviknight into a Dugtrio, you can just click your fighting moves here, right? So like there's nothing stopping you from just going for the Body Press over and over, because what's Dugtrio really doing to you? Yeah, and Burg did a good job at that point, taking care of business. Knocking the lefties off, that's a little unfortunate for him, but once again, this is poison and normal into a steel flying type that doesn't even use its attack stat because it's going with Body Press. So yeah, Burg not scared about it. He can get out with U-turn, sack the Chomp here, because it's not really doing a whole lot for him. Corviknight can handle Mouse Hold, no problem. Plus, like, with a little chip, he's going to be fine to pick it up with, like, a Zoom Rail. Yep, super safe switch. And I think Bird went for the roost. Yeah, I mean, I think that was just super unnecessary. You know, Berg maybe didn't know the coverage on Mousehold, but there was nothing it could do to you, especially at neutral. You know, now that it's at +1, we're going to see it's going to do about 50% here. Speed this up a little bit. It's going to hit 10 times. I think it did 49%. Yeah. Sacking Curve, probably fine. Yeah, Grafai is within Aqua Jet range. Azumarill should win the game at this point because Mousehold took a lot of chip. And really, Corviknight only dies because there was a crit on the very last pop bomb. But yeah, Azumarill can come in and just pick everything off. You know, if Grafai even went for the attack, Aqua Jet's going to go first. He's not worried about the Toxic on it because he can just switch out on a sack and then come back in and play rough. Or just go for the 2 Aqua Jets. Or just go for the play rough. Whatever works. You know, Azumarill hard walls Janpal, so... Berg played that incredibly well. Unfortunate out of MJC bringing the wrong team. If he puts on like an Enamorous that can actually do something offensively into Berg, that probably would have been a little bit more scary. You know, like a Mystical Fire into Corviknight to help break that down. You get rid of that. Plus Garchomp. Now Mousehold looks really, really strong. Yeah, other options. Maybe even a Mismagius or something with like a T-Bolt. Something to help out with Corviknight for sure. But yeah, GG's. All right, Ty and Dodge, they played last night. This was a spicy one. Donphan being super fat, eating that Ice Beam. It's not even going to get to it, KO'd by it. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, Dodge can just kind of like keep attacking, taunt the Uxie, make sure it doesn't get rocks up. Rocks don't really impact him too much. He doesn't want it for the Volcanion, but as we'll see, Volcanion's not really going to care too much. You have Acid Spray, and then Choice Banded Explosion, getting rid of the Goodra. That really opens up the Vivillon for this game. Now, Vivillon needs to be careful because it needs either Reflect Up or like a Sash Broken on Meowscarada to make sure it's like gonna live Sucker Punches and stuff. Probably could have gone with like Giga Drain instead of Bug Buzz on Vivillon. That would have definitely helped out, especially against the Donphan, to bring it back out of range of Sucker Punch. Yeah, I think this turn, you Parting Shot out, go into Viv on Stealth Rock. I think right here you go for the Sleep Powder. This is obviously a very defensive Donphan, and +1 speed, you're probably outspeeding it anyway. You go for the Sleep Powder here and preserve your health, and then you're able to set up and then outspeed like Bundle eventually. You still got to worry about like Sucker Punch plus Aqua Jet picking you off, but you want to maintain as much health as possible. Now, if this was Giga Drain Vivillon, it probably looks a lot better. That was a huge crit on that Rapid Spin too. Through the Reflect, it did 35%. That's just ridiculous. But Ty gets a really high roll Sucker Punch and then follows it up with the lowest roll. He went 27-23 with those two. It's so unlucky. But, you know, Aqua Jet's able to pick this up, no problem. So at this point, what Dodge should have done, in my opinion, is either go Mew to scare Tauros out, or go straight into Iron Thorns, because Tauros has Raging Bull, and it's going to be able to break any screens that Grimmsnarl's putting up. So he's getting the plus speed. This is looking bad. Raging Bull breaks the screens. Now Grimmsnarl just has to go down. It didn't do anything except allow Fran here to just go super stupid. The Headlong Rush, I think the math with Facade, even without a status on Ursaluna at that point, I'm pretty sure Facade does more. Should do like 140, Headlong Rush. Yeah, it did 60. Yeah, no, it definitely does more, even without the burn boost. Yeah, it would have done like 110. Yeah, good call. I mean, that was the play that won the game right there, is the Raging Bull on the Terra on the Iron Thorns, because this puts it in range of Bundle now, and if he goes for the DD, you're still faster, so then you can just Raging Bull again, no problem. Uxie with Foul Play ends up picking it off eventually too, like, you know, lots of options. It wasn't the best play going for the Thunder Punch there. I think his optimal play would have been go for Rock Blast, and hopefully that kills. Yeah, what was it at? 61%. Yeah, you go for the Rock Blast here, and hopefully that picks it up. And now you're dealing with a 50% Thorns for whatever's left. Yeah, I think Rock Blast was definitely the best play there. But Tide handled the Vivillon really well and just played super great. Now, yeah, Booster Bundle just picks up the game. So, GG's. That was a fun week. Let's see, I got the leaderboard right here. We got E with the plus 18. Could have been a 21 had he not thrown all that diff against MJC in week 3. We got 2 3-1s, Ty and Burg. You know, the top 3, exactly what we expected it to look like at the beginning of the year. Joe, 500, even diff. Me, where is it? MJC through Cordel. We all got negative diff, also at 500. He's just sucking all the diff up. And then we got 2 1-3s and then 0-4 here. Dragonite through Tauros all have 7 kills. Actually, not like too crazy. We haven't had anything that's been like consistently like you know, like my low pony last season, just like picking up and cleaning up all of the games. So it's very competitive here in the kill leaders aspect, which is pretty cool. You know, the boy Oricorio, top 6, we'll take those. We got a 3-point and a 2-point mon here, just hanging out with the leaders, swallowed up by, you know, all these super high point mons other than Tauros. We're just kind of packing it up in here. But yeah, that is what we got going on so far for the league. You guys got any questions about the waiver wire, hit me up. I know we're going to have a lot of changes. We're kind of coming into like roster mania here, where a lot of teams are going to look different going into next week. So that's super exciting. And yeah, hit me up if you got any questions, but I'll catch you in week 5. Peace.